Okay, so let's see. Jennifer said, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Really,
Big hug.
yeah, for everyone that are watching, I want you to know how grateful we are because your support means the world to us. But also at the same time, I want you to appreciate yourself and really, really acknowledge how much strength it takes for you to still be here, still looking for solutions, still holding on to that hope to fight for your children. So really, you need to really congratulate yourself. Please help by liking this page, please sharing this video and things like that. If you can, would love to help buying us a coffee. We have a Patreon page at Victim to Hero. Some parents go in and buy us a coffee once a month. Like $5 a month or something like that. So really appreciate that. Okay, so Jennifer said. I love you guys. Blue Lake said, "Wow, that's an awesome location." I think he's talking about the Chinese theater. Yes, we are so
Yeah.
grateful. The Chinese theater in Hollywood is definitely a legendary location, so we're definitely excited about that. Okay, Jessica says the judges in Mexico gives 1 hour per month in parental alienation cases. Jessica, are you talking about 1 hour of custody, like access to your children, or I don't want to comment on something that we don't understand truly the context. So I'm gonna just skip that, and if you want to
Sounds like you're
clarify,
giving it some kind of focus, though. That's a good thing. I would be so happy if the recorded in every nation would give it some more focus.
yeah,
Because our current court system runs on dollars, and when you are financially and emotionally abused, you have no rights in the United States of America, and that needs to change, especially
right,
when it comes to this.
yeah. Okay, so Blue Lake said, I recently lost custody due to the opposing judge for my child. I've seen him a few times in past year. He texted me yesterday briefly. What should I respond in order to keep them talking, please? Okay, so we don't know the full context of your case, so obviously, and this is not legal or medical or professional advice in any way. This is just opinions, and opinions is definitely the lowest form of information out there. But I would say that definitely for parents, any kind of communication with your children, any form of contact with your children, you have to focus on the positivity and the future, and your job is to portray yourself as a loving, available, and safe parent. You don't dig on anything in the past. You don't put any of the emotional pain that you have on your children. That's not your children's job. So take care of yourself, take care of your well-being somewhere else. But when it comes to your children, you have to be the safe, positive, loving, open, available parent to your child. So whatever the communication, always think of it in that frame. And I have this thing called love first. So anytime you do anything, you think about love, how you respond to it, how you understand your child message. Even when your child says something that seems really negative, question yourself, am I reading this in the right context? If I look at this from a love perspective, perhaps I misunderstand this message. And does my child have all the information to understand this correctly? Can I blame my child? He or she is a victim. So definitely keep those things in mind. And focus on building the future. Always communicate about how much love you have for your child and the vision you have for a positive future with your child. Okay, so Jessica said, let's stay positive. Jennifer said, perfect advice. Petra, Robert and Max, do you guys have more advice about how to communicate with the alienated children?
I think this is something that we can use not only with our alienated children, but with everyone. And when we respond, remember that everybody is responsible for their response, and we are responsible for our own. And so, first thing is that when someone expresses something, they are expressing either a cry for help or love. And so it's going to be one of the two. And here's the most beautiful thing. I'm going to make this real simple for everybody. The way you respond, the answer to absolutely everything is love. And so before you send that message back, just ask yourself, is this filled with love, kind, caring, and respect for me? And is it love, kind, caring, and respect for them? And if it is, press in. If it isn't, revise.
Yeah, that's a good frame. That's a good way of screening your own message. And if you feel really emotionally charged, then it's okay to take a moment, step back, and don't
Breathe,
respond. Yeah, don't
cry, whatever you need to do. Yeah,
exactly, don't react, because sometimes the children may sound mean, may sound, but you know what? Any kind of response is better than no response. And
absolutely.
and yeah, even when your children are mean, it's actually like Robert said, it's a crying for help. It's a crying to say, I want you to do better, investing in investing a relationship between us. I still care enough to be upset with you. And even if they are wrong or misguided, you have to understand where they come from and still have to come with this frame of love. Max, do you have any input, any other comment into this?
At the moment, I'm having the silent treatment of all three of my children. So what I've done is I've focused on myself. So I'm going through my whole healing journey. And I'm trying to make a better life and for it to be a lot more healthier. And as each day is going by, I'm becoming stronger and stronger. So it'll get to the point where my children will see me getting on with my life, being happy. So I'm hoping that's what they're going to crave. So I've always said there's a method to my madness.
Yeah.
So
Funny you said that.
if I try to reconnect with my children, even though they're adult now and they know right from wrong, it's really difficult to say whether they're going to have been more manipulated. I know for a fact my daughter would be more manipulated by her partner if I try to reconnect. So what I'm doing is the best way I can be, and hopefully my children are keeping tabs on me on social media so they can see what I'm doing. I'm doing well, I'm thriving after abuse. They see that I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse, so if they see the mother doing it, they know that they can do it.
Yeah.
So it's having that positive impact and building really strong foundation for when my children do finally come back.
Yeah, so I don't really share a lot about how I fought and won my children back. Partly is because my children are still minors; they're not adults yet. So I felt like this is a way of protecting them. So I don't really share a lot about that. But one of the reasons why I feel comfortable being here and helping parents is because I've gone through it as a child, and I have gone through it as a parent that won my children back. So one of the things that I did that I felt was really help was what Max just talked about, which is, so the alienated portrayed it to my children that I was emotionally, I guess unstable is not the right word, but they tell my children that I was chronically depressed. Okay, this is just so far from the truth. Like I'm definitely not a depressed person, despite whatever that's going on in my life. I'm a very optimistic person, but they portray this to the children, and the children actually believe this. And so I had to reverse this. So understand the kind of false narrative that your children are experiencing is very important, because if you understand what's being told about you, then you can help reverse that. And so it was very big priority for me to make sure my children see me authentically as a positive person. So I was always focused on positivity, and then at the same time, you know, I'm working on victim to hero to help other parents. And I never talk to my children about my work. I never talk about victim to hero. And then one day, it was so surreal to me, is one day my daughter, she's a teenager. She came home and she was laughing and she was really happy, and she talked to me about her school. This is after I got my children back and our relationship I repaired. And and still I never talked to them about my work. And my children, so my daughter came home and said, yeah, it was so funny today at school. My teacher said, you guys, I want you guys to come up with a name of an activist or somebody that have an impact in a social change. And
Oh my God,
and then the teacher said, but you cannot use the name of your parents, because even if your parent thinks that environment is protecting environment is good, your parent have no real impact in out there. And my daughter said she texts her friends, the two of them sitting in the class, and they were texting each other and they were laughing, and they said it's so funny because the teacher doesn't even know the kind of impacts that you have out there. And I was so shocked because I have never talked to my children about my work. So talking about children checking out on you on social media, the only way for my daughter to know is to look up my work online. She knows I'm working on something, but she doesn't know what I work on. And yeah, one day she came back and she's like, yeah, my teacher doesn't even know how big the impact you have. So my friend and I texting each other and laughing at him. So not only she recognized it, her friends know about it. So she's sharing it with her friends. So really how important it is for you to never give up and to continue to build this positive impact for yourself. And when you help other people, it also helps your personal case as well. Okay, so let's see. Let's continue with the question. Okay, Jennifer said she would like to friends on Facebook with both of you guys, if that's okay. I'm going to leave that question, then later when you guys go through the question and comment in the post, you'll find it, and then you guys can connect if you want to. Okay, we see Jennifer said, maybe if I write a book dedicated to her and get it on the best-selling list. Oh, I wish I had known earlier. I would have tried going. Please let us know if you have another. I think, Jennifer, are you talking about the screening? Okay, so right now we premiere in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, but we are looking at distributing this film. So just be patient with us. We're trying to figure out how to get distribution. Our goal is definitely to have it everywhere in the world. We want the rest of the world to see this, because the whole point of this is to bring public awareness. So, it's okay if you miss the Los Angeles screening, be patient. But if you have any input on how we can get more distribution, if you know of places that we can get screening, if you have access to the public library that you can get a room where you screen with a group of friends, we're happy to get this film to you so you can screen to a group of people. If you want to show this.
Me. Sorry. I could definitely get it to me. I want to get it out there. Everybody should get this out there.
We don't want to have it out in the YouTube or anything like that. We need to have it in private screening for now, because we're looking for proper distribution. So we recently talked to a very major network actually, and unfortunately what they said was they asking me to change the ending to make it a happy ending. And so that's the last conversation we have. I walk away and honestly, I felt like that question is asking me to betray this victim that was featured in this film, because honestly, these are the reality of it. It's not a happy ending story. One of the victims died from alcohol abuse. Another victim is currently under drug addiction, and he's begging for the world to recognize his problem, and he trying to say to other children, please don't get into a situation like me. I was an alienated child and I feel so neglected, abused, and now I try to pacify myself with drugs. Don't be like me. I mean, there's nothing to make a happy ending out of that. Another child completely lost the relationship with alienated parents, and then also because of that, she lost the relationship with her alienator. So now she lost both parents, and luckily she got adopted. But I mean, can you really call that a happy ending? We have so many of these stories, and so I walk away and felt like that question was sort of another enforcement of how society continue trying to shut down the real problem and refuse to recognize the real problem. But then at the same time, there's some people that talking to me and said, hey, you should consider, because this is such a big network. So, maybe walking a fine line and better to get distribution than not. So I'm kind of like in a conundrum right now. I'm trying to think about this. But anyway, we are looking for distribution. And if we really, really fail and have no option, then we'll put it on YouTube. But right now, I'm looking for some way that get proper exposure for the film. So yeah, be patient with us. Sorry for going
But
on for a
maybe
while.
at the end, after you, it sounds like you've got some heart-wrenching stories, you know what I mean? And that emotion is going to dig people in. But maybe at the end, what they're looking for, and maybe it's our Heavenly Father working for you, is that at the end, you want to give people the prescription. You want to tell them what the virus is, which you did with the stories, but you want to make it real simplistic, you know what I mean? And then after you describe the virus, talk about how empathy and the gift, you can talk about the gift of how it changed your life and how you nurture people and how some of these other people that have gone through this are now doing that too. You got some positives in it. And then you tell people who are in the situation how they need to recognize that it's conditional love, recognize that it's the destruction of empathy in the individuals involved, and give them a path out.
Thank you for your suggestion. But yeah, for parents, like if you have access to any way of having this film screen to a small group of people, or have any suggestion on distribution, let me know. And yes, Robert, I'll take your input in, and yeah, potentially we may change the ending a little bit or something, but I'll think about that. And then Jennifer, the comment about, she said maybe if I write a book dedicated to my daughter and get it on the best-selling list. Okay, now that is great, but I wanted to let you know that you don't have to move mountain. You know, like when you say, oh, I have to get on the best-selling list, it seems impossible. And I think it's nice to have really big goal, but don't do anything that make you feel that it's impossible to the point that it prevent you from taking action. Even just having some positive posts on your Facebook, or you know, creating, like my father did a simple website, and actually he used a free website, which is a Google site. You know, Google site is free. Things like that. You know, there's ways that you can do things that you that it doesn't have to move the mountain and still can have a huge impact on your children. So you know, if you can have big goal and it doesn't stop you from doing it, then yeah, go for it. But what I just don't want is for you to set something up that is you feel like it's not possible, and it prevent you from taking any kind of actions at all. Okay. Jennifer said in
And
the long.
Let me add on to that. Don't use judgment of the other parent to try to get your kid back. You're not going to win in this with anything but unconditional love. So you got to learn to forgive the abuser. And I know that sounds hard, but you got to forgive the abuser so that you can give everyone unconditional love.
Right. Max, you were gonna say something?
I don't agree with that. I don't think you have to forgive the abuser. What you do have to do is separate your kids from the abuser. So you have your issues between that abuser, and you don't bring your children into it. You have to forgive yourself at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
You know,
everyone.
And then once you forgive yourself, then that's when your healing starts.
Yeah. So that actually brought up a very good point about, you know, the question earlier about what do you communicate with your children. It's very important to not drag your alienators into that discussion. Like really important to go, oh, this is your dad that brainwashing you, or this is your mom that, you know, lied to you. You know, just leave the alienators out of that. This is between you and your child. And if your child bring up directly a question about a false allegation, then there is a 5-step process for you to address that. But otherwise, you yourself don't go into this false allegation and drag your alienators in, because you need to focus on future, building positivity future with you and your child. Okay, Jennifer said, in the long run, I feel like we have no chance. We love our kids truly, and our exes love themselves more, so they don't care about hurting them in the long run. We do in the long run, so we are careful. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. I think we talk about this over about, you know, unconditional love and conditional love, and yeah, and narcissistic abuse, and yeah, because these are narcissistic personalities, so they really don't care about people. Jennifer asked, Petra, when did you realize the alienation? I think I answered that. This was about 2 years ago. And actually, when I realized that I was alienated as a child was when I launched Victim to Hero. So the moment I became aware of the term parental alienation, I started to read a lot about it, and then I started Victim to Hero in the form of a blog under a different name. And then very quickly, within, I guess, like maybe a few weeks, I decided to change it to Victim to Hero. And so pretty much the point that I realized that I was alienated as a child was the launch of Victim to Hero. That awareness was everything, because I realized that my life was stolen from me, and I'm not okay for that to continue with other children. And so that's why I'm here, because I realized that as alienated children, we don't have any power to save ourselves. It's you,
Right.
the targeted parents. As helpless as you feel, as hopeless as you feel, you're the only one that can save your children. And so that's why I am here, because I want to empower you to save your children, because I don't want your children to go through what I went through, what Robert went through, what Max went through. We need to save our next generation. We need to end this so that it doesn't keep going on to future generation and future generations.
Cycle break.
Okay. Crystal says she can do a screening with a group of family and friends. Yeah, we can talk more about that. Okay, Carolyn said it's hard enough to love despite silence. When not gonna love that. I'm gonna try to understand that. I think what she's trying to say, that it's hard to love their children when the children are mean. I think that's so this is the thing.
It's hostile behaviour. It's a symptom of parental alienation.
Yeah.
So that's how I used to look at it. So when my sons were hostile towards me, I knew deep down that wasn't them. That was their way of coping with everything what was going on.
Yeah. So yeah. So exactly, like what's really important is to understand, if you look at your children, and despite how abusive or how mean they are to you, and especially with adult children, it's hard to take. But when you see, like, if you, and that's why we're doing this story here, like with Robert sharing his story and Max sharing her story and I sharing my story, is for you to understand the perspective and the constraint that your children are in. Because if you can look at your children with a compassionate lens and understand that they are truly the victims, then it's easier for you to forgive your children for the behaviors that they are. I'm not saying that you have to tolerate it. I'm not saying that you have to put up with it. I'm not saying that you can't set boundaries to those things. You definitely need to take care of yourself, and you still need to be the parents, and you still have to set boundaries and all that. But the love for your children is separate. I hope that makes sense. Is that you still need to look at your children with the compassionate lens, and you are here in this event is hopefully you see what we were put through as children, and why your children as adults may not recognize what they're doing and may not understand what they're doing. And if you have that compassionate lens to understand that your children are just victims, then you can easier to forgive them, and you can still love them, but it doesn't stop you from setting appropriate boundaries. Okay, Dina said maybe it could be just as impactful if you change the ending to happily ever after BS, but just add a short pause, like it's the end, but then like an outtake and use the real ending. Jennifer said I would help in any way that I could. Oh my God, Jennifer said my boyfriend committed suicide as a result of this also. It's been horrible. And that's the thing. Parental alienation can kill. It definitely can kill. I mean, what you are looking at here, we are the survivors, but there are victims that either kill themselves or are killed by alienators. It can kill.
Sorry, when was going through parental alienation with my eldest son. I tried to take my own life quite a few times, where it got to the point I had to have intervention from medical professions. Luckily enough, I had my youngest son and daughter, so what I did, I put all my focus onto my two younger children, because I knew at the end of the day, if something happened to me, what had happened to my kids. So I was fortunate to have two other children, because if I hadn't and I only had my eldest, I really, really don't think I would have survived.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you have something else to live for, and yeah, I like I said to you guys, like when I confronted the alienator as an adult, the hell that she's then put me through from that point, I really, the reason that I could endure it is because I focus on victim to hero. I focus on looking at other people and try to figure out how to help everyone else. And in the meanwhile, I have to deal with this whole thing, like the campaign of attack. It was crazy, and so it was over about a few months ago. And when it was over, I just couldn't believe it. Like the day that it was over, I just really I never felt more broken that day. I thought that when it was over, I would be relieved and that I would just feel free. But I think because I was busy focusing on like fighting and surviving and coping and trying to push my attention on victim to hero, so I never actually face it. And then when it was over, that's when I finally have to acknowledge that, yeah, the monster in my life is not a stranger. It's my mother, and that's very painful. And yeah, so it's really, I don't know. I think I get
and then losing that parent that was there in your life because they alienated the other one out. So now you don't have either one.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
And then you lose when you confront your alienating parent. Then you lose the alienating parent, and like us, our other parents already passed. So now we have none.
Exactly.
Because the alienating parent does not want to face the truth. No, now you're the crazy one too.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, the children lost their target parent because they were alienated from them. And then when they realized that they were alienated, they confronted the alienators, and now they realize that that person don't love them, so they really have nothing. They are, that's what I'm saying, is to realize that you are an orphan all of your life. As an adult, to realize this is why my life's the way it was, is that I was never loved, and that I was, things like that, to have to confront that as an adult. It's actually...
Oh, sorry.
But look at the amazing strength within that you have gained through your journey. I salute you.
Thank you.
Petra,
your kids see it too, and that's a beautiful thing. What a gift that is for you.
My actual name for my business is Orphan Annie, Narcissistic Abuse Survivor Centre. So I always nicknamed myself as an orphan from being a very young age. So now I've named my business after orphan.
Yeah, definitely. The sense of being an orphan.
What an amazing time we live in. I just have to say this. In the past, the people in our boat had no oars. But look at us. We've all been finding oars of our own to try to help change the situation in the world for everyone. What a beautiful time to live in.
For sure. These are like really good stories. And that's what I hope talented parents to see, that your children, things can be fixed. Things can be more powerful than ever. You yourself can be the powerful story, and you can help your children to be the powerful story. So with Robert, like his mom continued to reach out. My father reached out beyond his death. And really it's so important. Like don't give up, for sure. Okay, so Frederick said, during my marriage, I was accused for having Asperger and Tourette. And in order to heal from the narc abuse, I had myself check, and of course there was no truth in that, and it was just a part of the gaslighting campaign. Yeah, the alienators will come up with just the most outrageous stories and narratives and false allegations. They get so creative, and it's just the most ridiculous things possible, unfortunately.
And they can ingrain those crazy scenarios into the children by using techniques like asking them leading questions at night about memories that actually occurred, and reframing. Because every time we draw a memory up in our mind, then we only remember the last time we remembered it. So they do this every night, and just it continues to change, and before you know it, that whole memory is just fictitious.
Right. So Blue Lake said my teen was hospital for 10 days after self-harming. They only seen me 2 days last year, and the ex-NAC still blamed me for the hospitalization and said it wasn't about me at all, and spoke to my child more in the hospital than I had in a year. My eldest has been a rock, but just left for college and doing well. I'm grateful that he's there and still needs me to be here for him. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Children suffer from a lot of consequences. The alienated children suffer from a lot of consequences from alienation. And the children are caught in the middle, but it's really you're talking about self-esteem issue, trust issue, relationship issue, like we were talking about. Stuck in the victim mode and then end up in dysfunctional relationship, and then they end up being abused or they become the abusers. And then you're talking about alcohol and drug dependency, complex PTSD. We talk about self-harm and suicidal ideation, like Blue Lake, which is talking about his situation. Let's see. I wanted to make sure. I know that we're running out of time. I only have a few more minutes. Let's see. Jennifer said, "Oh my God, Robert, you just pack it." And then Gina said, "Choose someone actually understand is very essential." Crystal said, "My kids hardly see the other parent because of work, and it's by that parent's choice. I was always around and made sure to work around them being with us, so they never felt like I was there." The kids always said, wish they could spend more time with the other parent, but they got all the time with me, and now they ran away to not see the other parent, and now they don't come around. They don't have hardly any time at all with either of the parents. Yeah, because that's the thing. Your children are alienated. There's no logic in this at all. Yeah, I understand.
It's a value system thing, isn't it? When you say it's a value system thing, because I find that the people who live in the ego, they value the dollar. They'll spend all their time at work and never even pay attention to things that are really important in life. You know what I mean? And then you have the people who, like yourself, and all three of us here, and I imagine most of the people listening, who have learned that the real important thing is the relationships, because us nurturing each other, we can bring that with us. The dollars will be left behind. But I think that's a trait, because my father, again, alienated me against my mother. He was never there. He was always at work. When he was there, I had to squeeze my way in to try to have it. I had to be interested in what he was doing in order to have time with him. You know what I mean? Because that's the pattern.
It's about him. It's not about you. To be lost
at work is just part of it. Huh? Sorry, what?
I was saying it was about him. It was not about you. The relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And still, even now, right? Because I talked to him about what was important to me, and I was kind and caring about it. I said, I understand that we're all people and you're going through your thing at the time, but this is what happened, and I don't think that it was right that you took away my ability to have the knowledge of who my mother even was, really. You know what I mean? And then now I don't have him in my life, but it's a blessing because I don't have that judgment. But I still love him. You know what I mean? Because I'm unconditional love. I'm responsible for my response. He's responsible for his. He can judge me all day long for being awake to what happened. And I can forgive him and I can love him back with unconditional love, because that's who I am.
Very good. Okay, so we actually out of time. I really can't stay longer, but I wanted to wrap this up with a few things. One is that please help by liking this video and please share it. Parents, please continue to post your comment and question because I'm going to ask Robert and Max to later go into the videos and go through all the comments. And, you know, if you guys can help any parents with your further insight in any way, please do help.
Be happy to.
Please respond. I'm also going to check it out later. And if there's something, especially parents, if you have suggestions or questions for, you know, the kind of event that I should do in the future, people that I should interview, let me know, you know, the kind of content or guidance that you want, you know, any kind of topic, let us know because that way I can build events around what you need to help you. So definitely do that. And then also, like I said, join our mailing list on victim2hero.com website. I wanted to give Max and Robert a moment to give any final parting thoughts for other targeted parents out there, and then for any adult alienated children, or even doesn't have to be adult, any alienated children out there. So take a moment, and if you guys wanted to just give some parting thoughts for those. And Jennifer said, thanks again, a lot of love to everyone, and stay strong. Thank you so much. So yeah, and then like I said, we have the screening in the next week. So if you guys are in LA in any way, please participate. And then definitely mail me hearts because, come on, we have so many of us that's going through this, that suffer this. So it shouldn't be hard for me to collect 1,000 hearts. I only need 1,000. So please help me. I have a few hundreds, but we are still far from 1,000. April 25th is Parental Alienation Awareness Day, and I'm really hoping that I get it before then so that we can have the display at a very important location. So please help me. You can send as many hearts as you want. You can ask anybody that support, that understand, that want to participate. You know, please ask them to send as many hearts as they can. Just don't have any personal information like, you know, full name or anything that can identify you, email address or anything like that. But other than that, you can put any message on it to the world, to yourself, to your children. No message is up to you. Any decoration, any material, wood, plastic, paper, cardboard, whatever you want to give. But please send us as many hearts as you can. Okay, so Robert, do you want to do a closing thought?
Sure. Should I say that? First of all, my name's Robert Anderson Levelland, so y'all can find me on any social media. And I nurture many all around the world because this is not a problem in one nation. Actually, I'm not sure, but I think you might have 3 nations on this call right here. Am I right? Okay, so this is a world problem, and it actually goes beyond parent and children. It goes to all the way our society is being run. And so I would just say, no matter where you are at in your life, realize that you're there on purpose. And this is a very special time. And if you feel in your heart, just like these 2 beautiful souls here did, that they are ready to make a difference in the world, then this is the time to do it. And I want you to have those conversations with our Heavenly Father. And don't be gaslit against your Heavenly Father. You listen to those words He puts in your mind.
Thank you. What about you, Max?
If you're not in contact with your children, they're giving you silent treatment, take care of yourself, set good foundations, research. Just take care of yourself because at the end of the day, you haven't got you, who have your kids got?
Yeah, that's so true.
And also, anybody is more than welcome to add me on Facebook and look up my online business, which is Orphan Annie Narcissistic Abuse Survivor Stroke Survivor Centre. I'm on Facebook, Pinterest and TikTok.
Thank you. Actually, so Blue Lake is said he's from Australia. Actually, I'm curious. Can you guys take a moment and let us know where you're calling in from? I'm just curious because we usually have people that are coming from all over the places, and it's just to show that this problem is not at all, you know, it's not a localized thing. It doesn't matter where you are. It's a worldwide problem. Yeah, so Frederick's from Sweden. Lauren said, I would like to share this in a group setting. So I just want to let you guys know we do have a number of support groups. So for example, we have the Parental Alienation Victim Support Group. So if you don't know it, join it. Jennifer's from New Jersey. Lorraine's from San Antonio, Texas. Crystal's from Iowa. Lorraine, I do a lot of lobbying activities in Texas because I'm trying to change the law in Texas. And I would love your support, because anytime when we do lobbying, the more parents, the more people in that state support us, the better, because we need our legislator to see that we have local support. So yeah, definitely would love your support there. Dina is from what is Andy? North Dakota. I'm sorry, Fargo, North Dakota. Jane's from Newfoundland. Crystal from Indiana. See, you guys, this is from everywhere. Really, really, thank you so much for sharing, because yeah, it's really to show this is definitely a worldwide problem. I'm so grateful for you to spend your time with us. It's your Saturday. Really, really grateful for you, and for people in Australia and other places, it's probably already Sunday, I think. So really grateful for you to spend your weekend with us, and for your support. And definitely give yourself a pat in the back for being so strong and for being here. And thank you so much, and we'll be back soon. On Wednesday, we have an event. I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to interview a person who is organizing a parental alienation awareness bike rides in Pennsylvania. So this is not an event by us, but I wanted to share it so that for parents in Pennsylvania or anyone that outside of Pennsylvania who wanted to participate, to know the information, because this is an effort to do with Parental Alienation Awareness Day. So I wanted to share it. So Blue Lake is Sunday morning. So Blue Lake, I'm actually an Australian. I definitely call Australia home. So yay. Oi, oi, oi.
I'd like to call Australia home.
But yeah, so anyway, bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Petra.